Anyone that talks to me for more than about 2 minutes knows that I love fishing. Now, fishing with an F, I mean, not the nasty PH kind of fishing. So, I have a bit of an analogy that I'd like to make here. Attackers approach a network the way good fishermen approach a lake. Fishermen don't start by just throwing a lure everywhere and hoping for magic. They study the water, they look for currents, structures, shadows, where the bait fish are hiding, and then they cast their line exactly where they believe the fish already are. What I'm saying is, attackers often understand your network better than you do, not because they're geniuses, not because they have better tools, but because they're forced to observe it carefully. Most organizations are too busy running the business to stop and look what actually exists in their environments, and attackers, they don't have that problem. Their only job is to study the system until it reveals its weaknesses. So let's talk about a few things attackers almost always understand about your network that many organizations don't. Before an attacker ever sends a phishing email or launches an exploit, they do reconnaissance. They map things like internet facing systems and open ports and old subdomains and those forgotten cloud resources, public storage buckets, exposed APIs, on and on. The scary part? Many organizations have never actually done a full external exposure assessment of themselves. Shadow infrastructure builds up over time in places like old dev environments and test servers and cloud workloads someone spun up 3 years ago and forgot to shut off. Attackers find these because they're thorough in their reconnaissance. Your security program should know your attack surface better than Shodan does. Attackers love identity, not because it's glamorous, but because it works. And once they get a foothold, they start asking a very simple question: who can access what? And then they look for scenarios like over permissioned accounts, service accounts with excessive rights, stale admin privileges, and shared credentials. In many environments, privilege has slowly accumulated over years and years. And no one intentionally created risk, but attackers see the pattern immediately. They see identity as the shortest path to becoming an admin. Network segmentation sounds great in architecture diagrams. Reality often looks different. Many internal networks are surprisingly and shockingly flat. Once an attacker gets inside, they can often move laterally with very little resistance. Now, why, you ask? Well, segmentation breaks things like applications, it breaks workflows, it breaks old legacy systems. So organizations either delay it or don't do it at all. And the attackers notice this right away. To them, a flat network looks like an open floor plan with no doors stopping them from getting inside. Attackers probe quietly. They test things. They see what generates alerts and what doesn't. Many environments have monitoring on obvious assets like your domain controllers and email systems and internet gateways. But attackers love the places nobody watches: old file servers, development systems, your backup infrastructure, internal applications. The question they're always asking is honestly pretty simple: where can I operate without anyone noticing? Now, here's an interesting one. Security teams know what tools they've bought, but attackers know what tools are actually working. They definitely notice the EDR that isn't installed on every endpoint, logging that isn't centralized, systems that are missing patches, and MFA that's only applied in some places. These inconsistencies create what attackers love most: very predictable gaps in your security posture. And attackers are very good at driving straight through. And here's my final thoughts. Most organizations assume attackers break in through brilliant technical exploits, but in reality, many attacks succeed because the attacker simply understands your environment better than you do. They take the time to observe and to map things out and to study patterns. The organizations that win in cybersecurity aren't the ones with the most tools. They're the ones that understand their own environment as well or better than an attacker can. Because once you see your network the way an attacker sees it, you start fixing very different problems in very different ways. Now, let's stop all this fishing and actually go fishing.